What's up, people? It's another edition of the New Breed Podcast, the world's best quasi new metal adjacent podcast from two dudes who are really there. One half of your hosting duo, Jay Horskow. Got my partner in crime with me, the notorious TIM, Tim Anderson Jr. Tim, how's it going?
Great, man. Feeling great.
You're great. I'm great. We're all good. We've just spent a deep dive on YouTube. So let's back it up, Tim. What are we talking about this week?
This week we're going to talk about streaming or not to stream. So
Okay.
basically the effects on the industry with when streaming came out is what we can basically call it.
Okay.
So basically what I did is I went on and got some facts about streaming numbers, all the defunct sites, all that kind of shit. So it's kind of interesting to see when it starts and how it affects, record sales, all that stuff. I mean, we talked about that in the one episode. What was that? What did we just do?
Was it Columbia House, BMG? Was it that one?
No, we did it last week, didn't we?
Oh, CD sales. It was CD sales and something with MySpace music.
Yeah,
There we
that
go.
kind of shit. Yeah. So basically we're gonna dive into streaming and how it affected the music industry and all that kind of stuff. So, but I wanted to start it out with some questions here. I know you're obviously a fan of streaming, but why? Let me ask you why. In 2024, why are you a fan of streaming?
Ease of use. It's got to be the ease of use thing, right? Because
Yep.
we have joked all the time about having CD binders. I've told the story where my CD binder got stolen out of my car, and I spent a whole day just writing a list of all the shit that's gone. To have all that music at your fingertips is fantastic. So that's my first reason, right? Ease of use, and consumption. I will say this: something is to be said about algorithmic exposure.
Yep.
So I have found bands through Spotify. I have found bands through Bandcamp. Hey, if you like this, like that. I will say one of the coolest things about Bandcamp is I'll buy something and it'll say, "Hey, Tim in PA bought this, and these are some of the other things Tim bought." So you can sort of figure out and model. Okay, well, if this guy's tastes are like, or this gal's tastes are like mine, maybe I should check some of this stuff out. So it's ease
Absolutely.
of use. It's the ability to discover new things. Um, so I think I want to make a differentiation though between streaming and then streaming to purchase,
Yes.
because I have a ginormous Bandcamp library. I buy shit all the time. I have one credit card that is just Bandcamp because the wife was getting mad that she was seeing all these $8.99, $9.99 charges in my bank account. So fuck it, I'll just hide it. Uh, I buy a whole ton of stuff, and that to me is I know I get to support the artist directly, even though I know that Bandcamp takes a cut. When it's Bandcamp Fridays where they waive all their fees, oh, I buy tons of shit. I like that ability to support the artist.
Yep. Absolutely.
So
I think
those are the reasons why I think I like it. It's the ease of use and the ability to find new stuff.
Yeah, and that would be my top two as well. I mean, remember the meme where it was like a picture of a video camera, a boombox, a notepad, a all that shit, and it says all this now fits in your pocket.
Yep. Yep.
It's just, and it goes back to you, ease of use. I mean, come on, dude. I understand physical is cool and people love it, but do you really want to go in your car and put a fucking CD in this player and then it skips or it's scratched?
I have a book of CDs in my car from I still buy physical occasionally. I still have a book of CDs in my car that I can't remember. I think in my radio is because I had my radio broken. I had to replace the head unit. I think it's Napalm Death's last album is still in there. Throes
Wow.
of Joy and the Jaws of Defeatism, which is what, 2020?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. The CDs sound amazing these days
Mm-hmm.
still. They still sound great, but there's nothing better than plug it in and using CarPlay or Android Auto.
Oh,
There's nothing better.
the fact that I get in the as long as Bluetooth is on my phone, I get in the car and I start the car and my head unit says connected and it's already there and it actually says pause and you hit play and it picks up where you left off. Yes, yes, ease of use, big time ease of use.
You just can't beat it, man.
No,
I know it sucks for the artists and all that. I get that,
that's
man.
the other
But
side. That's the other side. You know that I mean, Spotify would not exist without all the artists giving them their music basically for free.
yeah, I mean,
So how Spotify is worth billions, we've talked about this, is beyond me.
it's shitty, but it's 2024, man. You're gonna have to do it either way.
Mm-hmm.
When did you start using Spotify?
When we started the show, because
It's so
up to
fucking weird, dude.
up to then I was a Bandcamp guy. I would still download shit. And we started the show, and I said, well, I might as well create a Spotify account. I'd use Pandora, not bad, not bad.
Yep.
And I had to create an account for this show. And slowly but surely I came around to, well, it's just easier.
You know what I used to do? I started using Apple Music in 2020 as well. My buddy came over one night and he was like, "You don't." He was like, "Yo, put something on the radio or put something on some music on." I was like, "Ah, man." I was like, "How am I gonna do this?" So I like went on the TV and my surround sounds on there, and I put on like music choice because I had cable still at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "What the fuck are you listening to this for?" He's like, "Just fucking put my phone on Bluetooth. Like I have everything you can imagine." I'm like, "Fuck Apple Music. I'm not doing this shit."
Right, right.
I went on there and it was like, oh, 3 month trial. He's like, just fucking get it. I'm telling you. I got it. Never went back. It was the
Yeah,
greatest thing ever.
it's again the ease of use.
Yeah, greatest fucking thing ever. It's the best $10 I spent a month. Well, 11
But
now.
I have a dual account because I have one profile for me in our show and then a profile for the wife. And she came upstairs one day and she said, Spotify's really annoying because of all the ads. And I looked at her and I said, what do you mean ads? What do you mean ads? She's like, well, I get ads. I listen to Spotify. I said, what the fuck am I paying for? Why do you have ads?
Right.
She was never logged in.
Well, my video is going to go away because for some reason this camera likes to turn me red. But I'm here. Anyway.
So yeah, so I had to like figure out why she wasn't logged in, get all that sort of that. My lord, my lord. But yeah, I swear by it. I swear by it. I really do.
Well, fuck it. I'm red for the episode because my
Yeah,
camera's not
whatever.
adjusting. Anyway. Yeah. So wait. So it gave you ad or her ads, but not you?
She wasn't signed in. She was using basically the free version of Spotify.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
she was logged into her email, but I had it wasn't linked to, or it wasn't linked correctly. When I sent her the invite link, she never used it. She just signed up herself. So she has the free version of Spotify with ads. I had to tie them together, and then she went, oh. And I'm like, yeah, why were you listening to fucking ads? What? What?
All right.
Yeah.
There we go.
But
I got the focus to work. We're
so
back
let's
to
talk
white.
about the other side of streaming, though, how snobbishly lazy it makes us. For example,
Yeah.
we have an episode coming up where we're going to talk about I think the title is 10 leadoff heaters from underrated bands or forgotten bands. I'm looking at my list. I've got 9 on this list, and I think if half of them are on Spotify, I'll be surprised.
Wow.
So that's the other side of this, where there is for all the music that's on Spotify, there is, I don't know, a factor of 10, 20, 30 more not on Spotify. And when albums go up or go down, it's a royal pain in the ass.
Yeah, it
Royal
is.
pain
I
in the
mean,
ass.
it really depends on if the artist or label puts it up too. So that's the
Yeah.
shitty part. Which leads me to think like we just need a streaming that's just metal hardcore.
Jamie Johnson talks about it on his show all the time. He said, us metal guys fucked up, was his exact words. He said, we should have built our own streaming platform that was just our extreme music, made it fair for the artists, equal profit sharing.
And he's right.
He's definitely right. I mean, all the streams of everybody logging on at the same time to listen to Knocked Loose and the new album, right? That should be profit sharing with I should be profit sharing with the band that, the band, so I'll give my example, Face Down, right? Everybody should be spread evenly across all the artists.
Yeah, like it shouldn't be like, oh, well, you're not Taylor Swift, so you shouldn't be blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you have
That's
all the shit that goes on, the chicanery that goes on Spotify, where you have fake artists uploading fake songs. Then you have AIs generating playlists, so these bands get plays, these fake bands get fake plays, so then they get money from Spotify, and then you have other bands which are just trying to make music like, oh, fuck you, man. Like, what?
Yeah. Right. Oh, I just remember, you know how I listened to music before Apple Music? I used to get 256 gigabyte flash drives, put all my music on there, throw it in my car's head unit, and just pick it from there. I did it for years. At least 5 years.
I had I had an iPod, 80 gig iPod, and an
Mhm.
iPod Touch. The Touch was great because it would just download new podcasts, through iTunes. We gotta do an episode on just the abortion that is iTunes. But I used to actually have to. Oh, I gotta sync my iPod because I want to listen to this.
Yep.
Yep.
And then at work, I would have a CD player.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
just
I
bring
had
all
one on
my
my
CDs
desk.
to work.
Yep. Ever
Crazy.
since I graduated. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I don't I would never be able to go back to it, man. Never. I'll never
No.
go
No.
back. I'm sorry. Just ain't doing it. I'll pay $10 for the rest of my life. So I know you're a big Bandcamp fan. Like, is this something that's gonna last though? I know they've had problems. Like, is this sustainable right now? Is it profitable?
I mean, I don't know if it's profitable. I don't even know if it's a loss leader. So I would love if anybody from Bandcamp is listening, come on and explain to us where the expense is. Because if it's just a portal, right, your expense is the hardware and the app, right? So you got infinitely, elastic scaling with the hosting, right? Where all of a sudden everybody goes on and buys a new Knock Loose album and everybody goes to Bandcamp, right? Um, I would think the costs are built into the hosting.
I was
Uh,
gonna say, is it hosting and storage?
I really think it's hosting storage
Okay.
scaling. So when everybody's streaming at the same time, right? Well, I'm sure they're using AWS behind the scenes or Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure. One of those things that will elastically scale upon demand, which is fine because makes your traffic hard to. It's hard to budget because you don't know how much you're actually going to spend due to server calls and all that. But
Yeah.
I, I don't understand why. I would hope it lasts. I would hope it lasts because bands. This is where artists get a chance to actually get paid for their listens. Like I've said, it's to me. So I can tell you the last. And the other thing is they make it so easy that I buy shit that I would never buy if I had to buy a CD. For example, Jesus. So last couple albums I bought the Hour of Penance album. I pre-ordered the Candy album, Antichrist Seeds Machine, which by the way is fucking amazing. The new Karma, Zayo, live from the church. But then I've got stuff like Timber Zeal, which is space banjo ambient music.
Okay.
Yeah, ambient country music. I've got tons of Trevor Something. I have bought almost everything that Gary has ever done for Memorage. Um, I've got the instrumental versions of every Humanity's Last Breath album. Uh, Nate No Face. I would never buy a Nate No Face CD. I have almost all of his catalog in my Bandcamp. Uh, Money, right? God is War.
Well, let me ask you this. So, is this some? Does Bandcamp have an app where you can go offline and listen to everything because you bought it?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
cool.
So I can buy it. I can click download to phone and it'll
Okay.
download to my phone.
Okay, so you can basically be in Nevada and be like, you know what? I want to listen to my Bandcamp stuff.
Yep. If I can either stream it or if I've downloaded it, it'll play directly. It defaults to download if you've already downloaded it. Yep.
Don't they do a thing where if you listen to a song too many times, it's like, hey, you should buy this?
Some artists will do that. So Car Bomb, the album Meta. I listened to that song with Frankie from Suffocation where it sounds like the guitar is melting. I listened to that so many times. Bandcamp said like, "Yo, stop ripping the fucking band off, dude." And I was like, "Ah, shit, you're right. I paid the $10 or whatever it was." But yeah, I mean, my thing is, no matter what the artist is asking for, I'm giving you $1 if it's a song. I'm giving you $5 if it's an EP. I'm giving you $10 if it's an LP, if it's an album. I don't care what you're looking for. That's what I'm going to give you.
And,
And if you're looking for more, I'll pay it.
and you can buy merch too, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of bands that do merch with their tour leftovers. I know, but here's the thing: I know Bandcamp also takes a cut of the merch that's sold
Yeah.
through Bandcamp. So a lot of bands will only put stuff up on like the free Fridays where they don't do any. The Bandcamp doesn't take their cut. But that's the platform I prefer to use.
I've gotten random notifications from PayPal, like you just got $1.23 from blah 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 on Bandcamp. I'm like, what the fuck? And I go on there, and it's like, because all the stuff I have up there is just random shit I've done band wise throughout the years, and this random people will pay like, because I have it as zero, pay what you want, or just don't
Mm-hmm.
pay at all. I don't really give a fuck. And randomly people, like it's happened like 3 times in the last couple of years. It's only happened to them 3 times, but like and I'll just get a random dollar or like $2 and I'm like,
All
okay.
right.
And then I call up the band and people or like I'll message them like, you guys want 53 cents? And they're like, the fuck are you
You
talking
guys want a
about?
revenue share? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
take the 17 cents. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
bud.
you're right, Tim. I mean, I am you know, we've talked about it on the show. We're both big music fans. We don't like seeing the bands ripped off. We want to see them all be successful. They should get paid a wage. They should get paid a fair share for what they create. Um, which I will turn it around and say I get frustrated when bands shit is not on Bandcamp
Yeah.
because I want to buy it. I want to spend my money.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows right there that there's people willing like you to do it still because there's a 80% of people aren't going to give them a fucking dime. Let's be honest
Which is
here.
fucking terrible. And we talked about, I think we talked about it last episode when we talked about MySpace. Bands like Softkill, Tobias, if you're listening, please come on the show, man. They will release their stuff early for their Bandcamp fans. So the album comes out on Friday. They'll unlock it on Bandcamp on Wednesday, and you'll get a message from them saying, "Hey, open up the album for everyone because you're our supporters. Really appreciate it." Of course, if I hadn't bought it by that point, I'm going to drop $10. Of course.
Yeah, I mean, shit. How many records, how many gigs do you think you have up there? What does your phone hold?
I don't know. I don't download it. So here's the thing: I don't download everything.
Gotcha.
I download the stuff where I've listened to it 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, yo, I like this. I'm definitely coming back to this. Um, I don't know if they could give you a report of how much have you actually. I mean, I can sort it by most played. So
Yeah,
as of right now on Bandcamp, my most played album, Escape. I don't know how long this goes. Escape Forever by Softkill.
there you go. Good
Archetypes by
shit.
Trevor Something. Live from the Undeath by Undeath. Victims. And dude, the Zayo Church album.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Oh my god! Like I've watched that at least 3 times on YouTube. I can't get over it. Like I
Yeah,
can't get
it's
over
fucking great.
it. Yeah, it's fantastic.
What else we got here? Um, like same with the likes of Spotify and Apple. Is this something that you see in 10 years being there?
What?
Spotify and Apple, is this something you see in 10 years that's going to be around, or do you think it's something that's just going to fade?
Apple, yes, because they own their ecosystem. They built
Okay.
that walled garden purposefully. Spotify, I don't know, man. I think wasn't this the first year that they returned a profit?
I don't know how they turn
I
profits, man.
I mean, you're paying the Obamas and fucking Meghan Markle, Princess Meghan, to do a terrible podcast. Hold on.
I love when we have
Uh
dead air and we keep it in.
yeah, right. Okay, so Spotify as of April 2024. As of April 2024, Spotify's profitable. $1.05 per share profit in the first quarter.
So every share is worth $1.05.
Has Spotify ever been profitable? Um, the first time it has ever been profitable was April 2024.
So where is that profit going? Into more artists, or I mean podcasts, or is it going into the pockets of
I don't
CEOs and CMIs or whatever the fuck they're called?
I don't know. So but here's the thing. They said Spotify has not posted a full year net profit and only occasionally posts quarterly profit. In 2023, Spotify had an operating loss of 446 million euros. They also laid off 1,500 people in
Hmm.
2023. So it's kind of scary that they had to lay people off to be profitability. Yeah, they're not profitable. They have not been profitable until 2024.
I wonder if that's just because of the layoffs. So you're saying you can buy shares in Spotify right now?
It's I don't know. I don't know. Is it public? I think it's public.
It has to be.
Spotify, yes. Spotify technology is $298 a share.
God damn.
How is it worth that much money?
That's fucking wild, dude.
Oh, and now the lyrics are behind a paywall.
The lyrics?
Yes. Like, and this is you want to talk about fucking rent extraction, right? Like, restricting access to song lyrics on the free tier. This is they don't. I mean, Spotify should not be worth that much money. All it is an app and some hardware. That's it. That's
That
it. And the
is
algo,
terrible too.
the suggestion algo. That's it. That's it.
It's a terrible fucking app too.
And the way they it crashes all the time, and the way they treat people like shit. Their
Terrible.
bands, like, yeah.
So 10 years from now, do we have more companies or do we have less? Because I'm kind of in the vein where I think it's kind of hard to say, all right, Jay, tomorrow let's start the New Breed streaming app. And we'll get all that. Like, how does that even how do you even do that? How much money do you have to start something like that?
Not much. We can use my credit card and just create an AWS instance. I mean, if you're not worried about how am I going to pay for this, it's not hard. It really is not hard. You build the app, you build the site, you build some backend hosting, and then you backend storage, and the algo is the work of the thing. But it's not that hard. It's not that hard. Do I think we're gonna have more? Do I think we're gonna have less? I think it'll probably be less realistically, because if like things like Deezer, Tidal, Apple Music, Spotify, if not all of them are profitable, they'll eventually go the way of the dodo. I mean, we may end up with something where it's just Bandcamp, Apple, and Spotify.
Yeah, I'm convinced that that's going to be the way of the world, honestly.
Because I mean, it is what it is. I mean, granted, the market competition is what drives innovation, it drives profitability. Christ, we could turn this into an economics podcast and really drive people crazy. But I don't know how the smaller sites are going to be able to compete. Apple has a captive audience. Spotify is like it's like the Xerox of streaming music. And Bandcamp has a small and dedicated, I don't know if it's small, but they have a dedicated user base like myself.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah. There's people that die on that hill. Definitely.
Yeah. So I don't know, Tim. I would like to see a change and the artists get paid more. Right.
Well, that leads to my next couple questions here. So do you think there will be another like major technological advancement with music in the next 10 years? Like, is there any more advancements you can have with streaming or just music wise? I mean, because think about it now. How easy is it to record music? I mean, in front of me, I have, let's see, if I ballparked it with equipment wise, I have like $5,000 worth of shit. This is 10 years of me buying it though. I'm not rich.
Picking bits and bobs here and there, buying a piece every once in a while when you're like, oh, I could really use this. Yep.
Yeah. Maybe 7,000, whatever. It's just 10 years worth of equipment. It's so I could record a band tomorrow. No fucking problem. And it would sound good. Here's the thing though. Is there going to be another is there going to be another tech advancement maybe with AI, do you think? Is AI going to come out and just
I am bearish on the AI hype cycle. I think we've reached the pinnacle. When we think of AI, all it can really do is take things that previously existed and remix it in new ways, right? That's what it does. Yeah. So maybe someday we have an AI algo that says, okay, give me take this Incubus album and redo it for me to sound like it was recorded by Cannibal Corpse.
Okay.
I think those type of gimmicks will be around. Now those gimmicks may also lead people to do some truly creative stuff, right? I mean, that's the benefit of it. Is I use ChatGPT when I write, because I'm trying to put ideas up to say, hey, I've got these 3 concepts. How would you suggest connecting them if I was trying to pitch a leader on organizational development or something like that? And they're not coming up with anything brand new, but they're combining things in a way that maybe I didn't think of, which leads me down a different path, right? It's more of an augmentation of what I can do in my head versus like brand new, greenfield stuff. I don't know. I mean, what the creepiest advancement in technology and music is for me? Bands that tour with a Line 6 or no amp and they go right into the house system. Now, far be it from me to tell anybody you got to carry around fucking amps, bass cabs, drums, right? And have to, have the trailer that gets the flat that causes the accident. But when you see these videos of these people where they're on stage with the band and you can really hear the drums and the singer kind of muted, and some like dry strings, and then the cameraman goes around the front of the house amps, and all of a sudden you have full sound. I get it. I get it. I saw Gideon and they play. I think they played all direct in. There was amps, and they were mic'd. But I noticing that I think the guitarist and the drummer were playing. The guitarist and the bassist were playing like line sixes directly in. Kind of creepy.
I mean,
I get it.
I have a line 6 board that you're talking about, and it's fucking amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, I can't again. Far be it for me to tell people you gotta fucking schlep amps around. I get that head units. I get it. I get it. But I'm just saying it's a very. I wonder how many bands are gonna have all those stage potatoes, right? When all you really hear is the snare and the singer like kind
Yeah,
of yelling
yeah.
into a microphone, you know?
No, I get it. And the line 6 thing I have, it's fucking amazing. Don't get me wrong. It sounds amazing. I hook it right in my interface. It blasts through. It's fucking great. But I do miss the, going there and hearing, tube amps and all that shit. And a lot of
I,
people will say, yo, you can't hear. Yes, you can. You can hear the fucking difference, dude.
you can hear the difference. Anybody who
There's a
spent enough time
huge
around
difference.
music, especially extreme music, you can hear the difference. I just miss there's a smell, not BO, Tim. There's a smell of the electricity, right? When you're in a room with giant fucking amps, you can almost feel it in your bones.
Yep.
Well, even when there's nothing going through the amp, when it's just on stage and it's just resonating, right? Like there's just the background hum. There amps in the face, man. Amps in the
Oh, yeah.
face. And
Yeah.
it's a different world.
Absolutely. I mean, if you can't tell a difference, you're fucking crazy, or you're just young. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because
Yeah.
a lot of people go to shows now and they've never seen a band with a backline of fucking 12 cabs. You know what I mean? Not
Mm.
that all of them are playing, but it looks cool.
Loudest, one of the loudest shows I've ever seen open air was Pantera at Ozfest '97, and
Oh
I
yeah.
think we came around the side stage, and there's at the end of Giant Stadium, little drum kit, and then these giant Marshall stacks lined completely up. Do I think all of them are broadcasting? No, probably maybe half of
No,
them, two or three each, and then the rest were just facades. But dude, there's nothing like it. There is
there's
nothing
nothing
like
like it.
it.
You're never gonna hear music that better than that. You know what I mean?
No,
It's
no.
kind of like when a band goes up and they have mic drums instead of just triggered drums. Come on, dude.
If I see a band, Fuming Mouth, when they walk in and they're loading in those giant orange amps, my first thought is, oh shit, because those
Earplugs.
things are made to be played one way, and that is just offensively loud.
Absolutely. We're gonna pause real quick.
So
Yeah.
we were talking
Anyway.
about line sixes and live sets, and it's different, man. It's different when you've got that stuff in your face. I don't know how we got here from streaming, but yeah, back to streaming. Tim, what's your next question?
All right. So we already talked about the technological advancement, basically AI, all that kind of shit. Do you think the music industry is eventually going to revolt, or are they just going to take it as it is? I mean, will there come a time where the music industry goes, all right, a fuck enough. You're not paying these artists. We're not giving you music anymore. Is that how it's going to be? Because
Well, I
I kind of
definitely
think that's going to happen.
eventually, yeah. The standoff will come from the artist, the labels, and the tech bros. It won't come from the artists because the artists are kind of screwed. Um, I can see that. I could see a bunch of artists getting together and saying, you know what, fuck these guys. Let's build our own thing. Let's build our own thing. Let's create our own lane. Imagine if you and I owned a streaming service that was just new metal revival bands, right? And with that streaming service, we do interviews and we do, takeovers. Like we get the boys from Drowner come on and take over. Like there's opportunity there. I think maybe that's the future, Tim. Maybe some artists who have some friends with some tech chops that can find a way to go at it alone. Maybe that's
Yeah.
the future. I know. I mean, granted, they're artists for a reason. Like, the running joke is why are these guys so terrible when it comes to like money and shit? Well, they're artists, they're creatives, they're not accountants. Um, Maybe that's it. Maybe they all get together and say, hey, you know what? Imagine like Imagine like a flat spot records days Ephira. They say we're going to do our own thing. We're going to create our own little niche over here. We're going to stream across our own stuff. And then they bring in like Unbeaten, or they bring in Upstate, like all the smaller mom and pop labels are like, yo, let's get in on this. Let's get on this. Let's get in a group where, curated and people coming to us know what they're looking for. I don't know. Maybe that's a way to carve a lane. I don't know.
Like, we're not giving you any of our records. We're only doing it on Upstate streaming, blah, 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 blah. And that's the end of it. I mean, it could work.
Yeah. I mean, again, you got to build an app. Have it scale, back end storage, payment processing. It's not rocket science.
What is AWS? Is that Amazon something?
Amazon's web service. So you can literally, Tim, we could open up a browser. I could use my Mac card and we can buy an AWS instance and we could set it to when demand spikes. This is cloud computing. And the benefit is when you have demand that goes out of nowhere, you go from like 50 people simultaneously to 50,000. AWS can auto scale and it will automatically create enough virtual servers to service that need. The problem is all of a sudden you get your bill and you're like, what? How much? Because it spikes. So when sites go down, it's because their traffic spikes to the point where the failure is typically in their host who can't allow the traffic, or if they're running like Cloudflare or some sort of DOS attack protection, that won't scale. Gotcha. But it literally, you and I could within 10 minutes open up an AWS instance. It's not hard at all.
In 10 minutes, we could have the new Breach streaming service.
We can have a site up if we had it all built. Right? So if we had the back end built, everything worked out, we could create hosting and all that stuff with my Mac card. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So maybe, Tim, maybe that's where AI takes it, is you end up with streaming service in a box. So maybe we go to, I was just having this conversation. There's a guy by the name of Balaji, I'm not going to go into his last name, who talks about like technofuturism. And he swears all of technology is bundling and unbundling. Bundling and unbundling. Bundle, unbundle, rebundle, unbundle, right? And the example, think about music, right? It was labels. Steve Jobs bundled everybody, right? Brought all the labels together. Now it's going back towards unbundling. Right? Spotify bundled everybody together. Maybe it goes back towards unbundling. Maybe, so to answer your question, that I would talk through it. Maybe the future is, a streaming service in a box where you and I go buy the program, use ChatGPT to configure it, go out to Amazon, enter my Mac card, and now we've got our own streaming service right there. So maybe it comes down to a balkanized version of everybody streaming their own thing from their own place. Now it's a little bit more work for the user, right? We go back to the usability of a Spotify or an Apple Music. But me personally, I would be inconvenienced if I knew that Trevor something got an extra $10-15 a month for me as opposed to the 10 cents he gets from my streams.
Did you say inconvenienced?
Me. I would be willing to be inconvenienced if I knew that. Yes. Like I will take that on the chin if I know that the artist is getting their fair shake.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you upload the music, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it comes to a point now where you upload your music and you don't fucking own it anymore. That's the fucking problem that I think a lot of people are having their biggest gripe with. It's like you own your master, but you don't fucking own it anymore.
Right. Or I'm trying to find a book on how the publishing industry works because I look and I forget, but I'm very curious about how the music publishing works, right? Where you own the masters, but you don't own the publishing, right? We talk about Apple to Apple, which is the Beatles publishing, or Michael Jackson's publishing, or, not George Michael, what was his name? David Bowie. David Bowie basically turned himself into a hedge fund, right? Like, kind of interesting ideas. But yeah, it's, who I'd love to get on? I'd love to get Adam from Orthodox on to talk about this because he's in a mid-size successful band, right? I would love to hear his thoughts on the business side of it. And what is it? And he's got enough friends that are in all those other bands. What does it feel like from the artist's perspective?
We should. I'll hit him up.
And you know who else we could have on as a true one-man operation? Get Gary on.
Yeah.
Or Alex or Mashes like Rain. Get them on and say, guys, what's your experience been? Maybe we do like a roundtable of, what do we think the future is going to behold? That'd be a kind of interesting conversation to hear what their thoughts are as the actual artists who are sadly contributing to Spotify's $1 for a share payout.
Oh, and we're gonna get into that because I have the payout numbers here. So
Okay.
let's get moving so we're not a 2 hour episode here. Couple more things. Do you think the radio will ever cease to exist, like FM and AM, or is that something? I kind of think that'll never go away because radio's free.
Yes.
People get in their cars, it's free. But
Yes.
who pays radio? Is that advertisement?
Advertising.
Okay.
Advertising. I don't think it'll ever go away because, like you said, it's free.
Right.
There is money to be made there. I do think that I in a perfect world, you would force Clear Channel into divestiture because honestly, the fact that they own every single station is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
But you know what? There are times where I'm in the car and I turn on Sojo 1049. Shout out to Sojo. They're down the road here in Northfield. It's not bad. I mean, I wouldn't go out of my way. It's a lot of the same songs over and over again. But like in the summer, I listened to. I used to when I was mowing the lawn. I had earmuffs that didn't have Bluetooth. I would listen to terrestrial radio because I also want to hear about what the traffic is like going down the shore and what the weather's going to be like.
Sure. You can usually get your weather from New Breed Podcast too. It's just a month out.
Yeah.
Um,
1010 wins, right, dude? I used to listen to the AM news. I think it's 1010 wins. I used to listen to that when I was on my lunch break at work, when I was driving around to go get lunch, because literally, what's the ad line? 15 minutes, it will give you the world. They'll cover a lot of ground in 15 minutes, which is really kind of cool.
yeah, it is cool. All right, two more. What do you think is Sirius Radio? Is that something that it will ever always be there? Because I know that that's been fucking shitted on constantly. I mean, it's I don't even know how
So,
they make money.
well, they obviously don't pay the DJs much, right? Um, all the 80s DJs that are still have careers. Rick Springfield comes off like such a dickhead on that. So Sirius was bought XM, right? They bought XM.
Yeah, because you had
So
Sirius and XM, then it was Sirius XM. Now it's just Sirius.
my wife has it in her car, and I think I pay a little extra to have it on like our devices. It's not bad. That's for when you have an itch that you're trying to scratch. I think, right? Because like the 80, so in the summer, I listen to yacht rock all the time because I find it comical, right? 70s, like cheese, like, oh, Muffy, get out the Coors original, man, that was terrible. I like the 80s channel. I like the first wave, right? The grunge stuff. I think there's
First
always
wave's
gonna
great. Yeah.
I think there's always going to be a place for it. The complaint I typically have with those channels is, and shout out to Jose Mangan. Like he's always playing different stuff. Some of the older music channels, the 70s, 80s stuff that I listen to, it gets repetitive at certain points. And this is where you want to talk about technology usage. This is where AI could really help. Point the AI, point the AI at a corpus of songs and say, I need you to tempo match no more than 3 songs in a row. You can't repeat the same artist in, say, 90 minutes. And you need to build a playlist that will play for 8 hours. That's where an AI could really be helpful because it
Absolutely.
would parse all that and then come out with something unique. Right.
No, I agree. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Definitely.
I think that's maybe here we are coming up with all these tech ideas. Somebody's getting rich off them. Please give us residuals. I do think there's an opportunity there, right? It's not again AI it can parse the LLMs, large language models can parse large chunks of data faster than our brains can. Why don't we use that to our advantage?
Absolutely.
Right? How great would that be knowing that I'm taking a road trip this weekend and I'm going to listen to the 80s on 8 on Sirius, and I can guarantee that over the course of a 5-hour drive, I will hear the same song maybe twice.
Oh, absolutely.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, one more. Will podcasting take over everything, like CNN, Fox News, all that shit? I think eventually new mainstream media is fucking dead. Right now.
It's cached. It's toast. It's
I
toast.
give it 10 years, it's just going to be all fucking podcasts. It's going to be all video podcasts. I think mainstream's done.
I agree. I still think there is a chance that it could revive itself. There is a chance that it could revive itself, and here's my argument. My argument is we've gotten too into our own little walled gardens, right?
Yep.
We have not purposefully, but we've found ourselves in bubbles. And there is always going to be the appetite for the great central leveler where let's put it, we'll use news as an example, right? News and politics. There is always going to be the appetite for a channel or a station to come out and no bias towards either side. Just say it. Now, granted, this is a lot about semantics. It's all about language and the words that we use. But I definitely think if the US and what I can't even come up with a fake network. The EAD network, right? WEAD comes out tomorrow. Stands for Eat a Dick. EAD comes out tomorrow. EAD comes out tomorrow, and they are truly down the middle, no left, no right. Ex-President Trump said this. President Biden said this, his exact words. No exclaimed, remarked. Again, when you add those adjectives, you start to shape the narrative. I think that would blow up overnight. I really do.
I think you have that already with breaking points. I think you have that already.
You do have breaking points. You have ground news.
Yeah,
if you ever use
trigonometry.
It shows ground actually shows you the needle that says which way. So yeah, the trigonometry guys, they try to come down the middle. I mean, I'm gonna piss somebody off by saying this, but even Rogan to an extent, he's a dude asking questions. Yeah. And you can tell that we have reached this weird part in our culture where somebody who has no real particular leaning just wants to understand where you're coming from, just let you talk. That's looked at as crazy. But yeah, I think let's put it this way: mainstream media is dead. It's just a zombie. The major networks, they're dead.
I mean, look at this. You fire Tucker, he's fucking huge.
He's even bigger. He's literally Obi-Wan Kenobi. Strike me down, I'll be more powerful than you could possibly imagine. Literally, he's Obi-Wan Carlson. It's nuts.
I think we need to rename this episode, actually.
Yeah.
Why don't we get into streaming stuff and then we can get out of here? So, a couple facts here because I want people to realize what this is. In 2020, music streaming accounted for 62.1% of the total revenue for global music industry. Physical sales were the next largest, and that came in at 19.5.
Look at that difference.
That is fucking crazy.
62 to basically 20.
Absolutely crazy. Streaming transformed the music industry by increasing accessibility to various songs and artists, which we talked about.
Yep.
The demonetization, is that a good word? Is that how I say that?
Demonetization? Okay.
Democratization.
Democratization. There we go.
There you go. Allows listeners to explore various genres, discover lesser-known musicians, and enjoy an unprecedented level of music variety. And we talked about this last time. That was our facts. This is the good thing about that was the episode we did. It was file sharing.
Yes.
We talked about this. It gives artists, okay, hey, listen, I'm going to put my record up here. Nobody in the music industry wants me because I can't get a fucking label deal, but I'm going to put it up here and then people can just find it. It's kind of like what YouTube does where it's like, you might like this and blah, 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 blah. It's basically what they're saying. And it's true, man. Streaming services saw a significant pace of growth during the 2010s, overtaking digital downloading, so file sharing, as the largest source of revenue in the United States music industry in 2015. Accounting for a majority since 2016. As a result of this ascendance, streaming services were incorporated into Jesus Christ, I cannot say these words. Methodologies.
Methodologies.
People listening know I'm fucking stupid as hell. Of major record charts, the album equivalent unit was also developed as an alternative metric for the consumption of albums. To account for digital music and streaming, it has also caused a cultural shift for consumers renting rather than buying music. So basically, they're not right. They're not wrong. We're basically renting this shit because if you don't pay your $10, you don't fucking get any of it.
Yeah.
So that makes me think like the artists are suffering even more because if you don't pay for it, they're not even getting that fucking. Let me see here. YouTube Music is 0.00074 for
how many zeros? How many zeros? 3?
0.00074. That is fucking crazy, dude.
This is atrocious.
But I have that whole list we're gonna go over. I don't have to read all this shit because I didn't think the episode was going to go the way it did, but whatever.
I think we've talked about the different platforms, right? Where I think like Tidal pays the best and
Yeah,
Spotify
yeah.
pays the worst. Yeah.
Let's see. One or two more, and then we'll go into the other thing. We'll get out of here. By 2013, on-demand music streaming had begun to displace online music stores as the main revenue stream, which we fucking knew that. It increased by $4 billion year after year. So as of 2013, every year, streaming goes up by $4 billion in revenue.
That is wild.
Ad supported goes up by 2.2 billion. So people are paying ad supported, like basically,
Mm-hmm.
I guess lesser versions, say like Netflix or some shit,
Yeah.
because you get all that shit. So people still pay for that shit too. And it's since doubled since 2017. So now you're looking at 4 billion a year.
Just
Absolutely
funny
wild,
money
dude.
numbers. It's funny money.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to go through all the rest of this because I don't want to keep people here for 2 hours. But in 2019, a streaming services accounted for the majority of music revenue globally for the first time. So 2019, all of your sales streaming,
Mm.
which is absolutely wild. Um, I have some stuff here about origins of streaming. So basically, I'll go through this real quick. So you start out mp3.com, People Sound, they were the first streaming sites. You go to MySpace Music, then you go to Winamp. I still use Winamp. I love it. Because when you play music, like they have files on your computer, Winamp's the one to go to. Pandora launched in 2005, but this is where it allowed users to create and listen to internet radio stations, offering thumbs up and down options to create ratings and suggestions, which was at the time really fucking cool. You can't
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
can't
it
take
was.
anything away
It
from that.
was.
You could only skip a certain amount of songs unless you paid for it. Then you get social networking services like MySpace and YouTube come out and they become prominent. That's 2006. Then 2010 you get Spotify at what the fuck was that? I don't know what just happened.
I think she's still been recording. Keep going.
Um yeah, 2010 you get Spotify, all that shit. And then after Spotify's launch, you get competing services to emerge. Beats Music. Do you remember Microsoft Grove Music Pass?
No, but they probably spun that up with the Zune.
Yeah, formerly Xbox Music. Then you had Amazon Music Unlimited, Google Play Music All Access, which is gone, and then you had Apple Music, which was late. Then you got Tidal. So basically, by 2015, you got about 6 major ones.
Hmm.
And then what I have here is all of the current services, and I have the discontinued ones. And this is the one I wanted to go through real quick. Radical.fm shut down 2018. Xbox Music Pass shut down 2015. iTunes Radio integrated to Apple Music. Beats Music succeeded by Apple Music. Blinkbox Music, you ever heard of that?
No.
2015 gone. Groove Music Pass shut down 2017. Groove Shark 2015. Google Play 2020. Guvera 2017. Rara 17. Last FM 14. I mean, there's so many of these, dude. Thumbplay, Ardeo, Rhapsody, Yahoo Music Unlimited. Whoever thought Yahoo was going to last? That lasted an official 1 year. Slacker Radio, remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Zune Pass, Ubuntu, which was discontinued. That is
What is
what is
that?
that?
That's a Linux build.
That's
Ubuntu.
Linux. Yep.
Yeah.
WIMP, Electric Jukebox, Music Recovery, Music Unlimited. I mean, there's so fucking many of these
I can't
things
believe how
that
many
failed,
of
dude.
those are actually dead. I mean, I wonder if they just fell apart from disuse or because I remember RDO. I remember some of those.
And then some services you have going right now, you have 8tracks.com, AccuRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Bandcamp, Boomplay, Deezer, Hoopia, iHeartRadio, Line Music. I've never even heard of some of these. Live One, Music Choice, which is basically if you have cable.
Cable. Yeah.
Napster is still going. Pandora, Roxy, Sirius, SoundCloud. I mean, there's so many. But here's the thing I want to go through last, and then we'll get out of here because this shit is crazy. So music streaming, who pays the best? This is gross payout to labels per stream by selected streaming services. Now this is cents per song right here.
All right.
YouTube was 0.00074 cents. How that is absolutely wild to me. So that's your least. I'm gonna go to the most, which is Xbox Music is 0.02730 cents. So you have YouTube as the least and Xbox as the most. So I guess Microsoft, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then in between, Pandora 0.00134, Spotify 0.00397, Google 0.00611, Deezer 0.00624,
Jeez, this is getting worse. So the further you go down the list, it's getting worse.
Amazon 0.00740, Apple Music 0.00783, Tidal 0.01284, and then Rhapsody with 0.01682. So
It's a losing it's a losing bargain for recording artists, but they're stuck because they have no other way. That's where everybody goes.
but isn't it wild how the less known ones pay the most? How does that happen?
I don't know. I mean, I would love to get someone from Spotify on there, an ex-employee who's comfortable spilling tea. Get us an ex-Spotify employee on here and they'll tell me, like, where is that money going? Where?
How much you're smart. Out of 1 cent, 0.00074. What even is that?
Tenths, hundreds, thousands. What's after that? 10,000s? So yeah, so that's 772 10,000ths of a cent. Uh,
How many songs you have to have for $1?
just having actually saying that loud makes me nauseous. Again, I would love to know, where is Spotify spending the money? I mean, not for nothing. I mean, Elon Musk takes over Twitter, fires 70% of the staff, and it's still up and running and working fine. And I would argue it's probably more complex than Spotify because it truly is, audio, video, posting, images, lives, chat rooms. Like, what is Spotify doing?
I that's the golden question right now,
I
man.
don't know.
I guess we're gonna have to figure that out on in that another episode.
We're gonna have to go on LinkedIn, create a New Breed LinkedIn profile, and look for somebody who worked at Spotify, verify that they worked there, and then have them come on, pitch shift their voice, put them behind like witness protection, right? So the lights behind them, and all you see is the silhouette, like the old talk shows, and then we're gonna interview them.
I would love it.
I'd love it. All right.
On that note, let's get out of here.
Yeah, a lot of technology, a lot of heavy tech talk this episode. If you want to hear more of this, please let us know. If maybe some of you find this interesting. Maybe there's some IT nerds out there who fellow alchemists like Tim and I. So New Breed _ podcast on both Twitter and Instagram, newbreedpodcast@gmail.com, 267-297-4627 for all your voicemail needs. Find us on r/new metal. Find us on our Facebook group. Find us next week, 12 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays, new episodes. Fridays at 12 p.m. You have our reaction vids. Always a good time. Until next week. Cheers.